Ut quid hic perditio, what use this waste? What is waste when it comes to the Lord? In student days, way back in the mid-70s, I remember writing to La Trappe, because I was in contact with the novice master, having spent the summer there in the previous vacation, and asking whether those who were criticizing the contemplative life were perhaps not right, that it was a waste of a life and energy and perhaps talent. And he calmly wrote back, quoting that very verse, actually in Latin, and it calmed my fears, because it was the Lord's own answer. Of course, it is not enough to engage in a structure until death, because the contemplative life has to be contemplative, and the structure is there so that it may happen. The question then of making it unhappen is a separate one. But if it is engaged in, it has no need of human justification. No apologetics enter into that realm of the rights of God. After all, we have no right to ask him why he created such useful things as angels, because they have no use on earth, it would seem, because we can't see them, and they certainly have no use elsewhere, it would seem, because we can't see them. And yet he created them, a quasi-infinite number of them, gratuitously. And so it is that we have no need to ask why he should create souls who have nothing useful to do except what the angels do. Years ago, during the height of the anti-clerical persecution in France, when the religious were being driven out by the Masonic government, a great Trappist abbot, Judas, had the courage to go to the topmost authority and to explain what it was about. Do you know what a king is? A king has his court. The High King who made us has a right to his court. And he insisted. But actually it had its effect. And so it is that the High King has his court. We who have to do with the female part of the contemplative life, holy virgins enclosed from an early age, know that the women are particularly good at this. The care that they show to the Blessed Sacrament, the way that they handle what handles Jesus with great care. Nothing is too much for the High King. And that is living out precisely this gospel. The Lord accepted this physical praise. Physicity enters into it, just as shoddiness entering into it shows our inner life. The Lord goes on in defending this woman. The poor you always have with you, but you do not always have me. The correct order according to the actual wording would be, me you do not always have. That's more emphatic. Perhaps the Lord is whispering that to us at Holy Communion. The monastery to which I was transferred to, the French one in Italy where I was ordained, eventually had a good protection of the Blessed Sacrament, insofar as all the time from the early rise to reception of Holy Communion was a preparation for it, and the prior, who was a holy man, would not allow anything else but thanksgiving as long as the presence was in us. So straight from the sacristy back to choir, often have our hoods up, and nothing else was to be done. The chalice was to be left on the altar, the missal, and everything was to be done after that sacred time. I remember actually seeing that happen elsewhere. When at the age of 17 I was exposed to Ampleforth for the first time because they had the care of our parish. I remember how it was impressive to see Abbot Hume and his monks go straight back into choir after Holy Mass in the morning and spend a good while in quiet, interior praise and intimacy, similar to this useless activity of Mary in the Gospel. But that is what gives sense to the whole day. What are we here for if we haven't got time for the one we've come for? The poor you have with you always. Me you do not always have. In that year at La Trappe, I remember having all the time on my desk at university this picture. It was actually framed and it quietly called. It spoke of peace, precisely, intimacy. A tree of life, my Saviour's cross, repair the tree of Eden's loss. Stretch forth thine arms, O all mankind, that wandering Adam's shade may find. Victorious tree, triumphant tree, the universe lies under thee. Unmoved thou standest o'er the world, unrocked as this small globe is whirled. Thou art the crux of all that is, the hinge where hangs all that is his, and what is ours in time and space, the universe or meeting place. Thou pointest upward to the skies, thou pointest to where Satan lies. Thou reachest out to sea and land, thou holdest thy Creator's hand. O Gibbet, thou shalt judge the world, the echo